Hello, g'day, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us for our Australia-only 7-day outlook. And there are a few things on the go at the moment. We'll start with ex-tropical cyclone Lincoln, which is very likely to form into another cyclone, same name, offshore here in the Indian Ocean and come back in towards Western Australia and fall apart. The good news, falling apart means that you may not get so much of a wind problem, but you'll get some rain, which will be, I'm sure, very welcome. Some places have been incredibly dry over the last couple of months. There's also a lot of low pressure up around the tropics, so we're still seeing some thunderstorms, areas of rain inland. Certainly along the eastern coastline, we're going to be seeing plenty more wet weather, especially up in Queensland. And down here in the south, big high pressure zone, obviously around Western Australia, moving in towards South Australia. But you've also got this bigger storm down here, which is giving Tasmania some pretty warm, windy weather for today. So we'll kick off with today's map. We'll start down there with Hobart, 33 degrees today and windy. That's your hottest day of the week coming up for the next 7 days. And it's a similar story in Melbourne, also windy, 36 degrees for you. Adelaide, dry for the next 10 days ahead. That dry weather just carries on for you. And further to the north, up here in Cairns, basically 28 degrees and thunderstorms, and no shortage of thunderstorms really around Queensland area. Showers and downpours elsewhere, and plenty of rain offshore as well, which is sort of moving off and on around these eastern places. Let's move through into Friday. So you can see the ex-cyclone starts to get a little better organised, gets more of that circular shape to it while it's out at sea. The headlines on Friday for the main centres at least: Perth, hot day for you, 37 to 40 degrees with that windy east to northeasterly coming through. It should be a bit cloudy for you. Adelaide, on the other hand, also cloudy, but cooler with that southerly coming in around the big high pressure zone. So 21 degrees for you. That's your lowest temperature of the week coming up as far as maximums are concerned. Similar story in Hobart. You only got a high of 17, cloudy for you on Friday. And Melbourne, both Friday and Saturday, only 20 degrees for you. That's down on where you were at the moment, or where you are today, as a result of that incoming high, which drives in a southerly before it gets here. But some other places are going to be quite hot. Canberra, for example, 31 degrees for you with a few showers around. Sydney might have a shower as well, 32, 33 degrees for you, maybe a degree or two hotter inland towards the ranges. And so for both Canberra and Sydney, that's your hottest weather of the incoming week. And further up here in Brisbane, your hottest day of the week, 32 degrees for you, and looking fairly dry. Now, as we go into Saturday, this low pressure zone up here in the Coral Sea, it's going to be a bit of a problem maker in the sense of driving in some heavy rain around parts of Queensland. You can see it here inland. Some places could get 100 millimetres in just one day. And then over on the western side, you got the potential for another cyclone or that cyclone to reform. On Saturday, Canberra on the eastern side over here, 24 degrees. You might have a few showers, then it goes sunny for you. Sydney, 21 degrees. You've certainly got some showers. So both Canberra and Sydney, those are your lowest temperatures of the coming week. Further inland, places like Orange, 24 degrees and showers. And further to the south, Wagga Wagga, sunny weekend on the way for you, around 32 or 33 degrees. So that offshore system is driving in a bit of wet weather, but it's pretty unclear exactly where it's going to come back into, but the modelling does suggest that the storm weakens. So whether it comes in further to the north or further to the south, either way, it probably doesn't really make a lot of difference because that wet weather looks as though it will brush a big part of Western Australia and some more rain up here as well. Thunderstorms around Darwin, thunderstorms here around Townsville for you on Sunday, and Brisbane, 26 degrees for you, and a few showers coming in. Some of those could be a bit heavy with thunderstorms as well. So as we start off next week, a very heavy area of rain here, thanks to that subtropical low that's stuck in the Coral Sea area, or tropical low really, I should say. That's driving in some very heavy rain. Now this could still move around a bit, but here between sort of the Sunshine Coast and Rockhampton, we could be seeing over 150 millimetres falling in just one day. So just be aware of that on Monday. That risk zone is there. But obviously the further you go down, a few showers around some inland parts of New South Wales, but for the most, the state is dry. And Victoria's mostly dry. Just a few coastal showers coming in for you on Monday. Port Macquarie, 27 degrees for you. As we go into Tuesday, Hobart's going to be pretty warm with a northerly wind for you. In fact, a big part of Tasmania will be warm. 25 degrees from you up to about Lonnie. In fact, it might be a little cooler around places like Devonport with that breeze coming straight off Bass Strait for you on Tuesday. Perth, you've got some cool down coming. 27 degrees is your high. That's the lowest of the next 7 days. Hello to our viewers in Bridgetown and also around Albany to Esperance. You'll be seeing some showers, much cooler airflows coming off the Southern Ocean. I'm sure you'll be pretty happy with that. All right, let's move through to Wednesday, our final map of the day, and still got some rain stuck around this area and showers, thunderstorms, downpours, whatever you want to call them. They fade out the further you go towards the outback. And we've got a few showers bubbling up here. There could be some pretty hot, humid weather, that red line dragging down some of that heat and humidity on Wednesday. Sydney is going to be 27 degrees and wet and windy, I should say. Might be a shower, and it'll be wet around parts of Tasmania. And some good news down here for the farmers, a little bit of rain coming in for you as well. Now, our place today is Ceduna. You often see it on the maps there, all alone, South Australia. Population around about 3,600 to 4,000, if you combine some of the other communities around it. Now, the reason I wanted to show you this, and I'm sorry I don't have a flight sim flyover this week, but if you go a little bit northeast, you've got these lakes, the saltwater ones. This one here is a little different to the others around it. Now, many of you may know this, but some may not. Lake Acraman, this is an impact crater from a meteorite that smacked into the Earth 590 million years ago, would have caused enormous devastation, a storm that big that you can see from outer space right here. So that's a significant system, significant crater, 40 kilometers in diameter, 4 kilometers deep. I love impact craters. We don't have them in New Zealand. We've got other craters from volcanoes, totally different thing. But having a rock come out of space and make a giant crater, and you've got many of them, obviously Wolf Creek, probably the most famous one, but there are others as well. So we might try and cover them off. Again, apologies, I don't have the flight sim for you, but look at this, Ceduna, 44 degrees coming up for you on Tuesday, but it'll be quite cool tomorrow due to that high to your south driving in a southerly. Now, before I go, let's make sense of all the rain for the next 7 days ahead, all the showers, the drizzle patches, the downpours. Most of that wet weather looks to really be here, where you're talking about 150 to 200 millimeters right on that coastal zone. But really the purple shading you see with the blue in the middle of it, that is getting up to about 100 to 120, 150 millimeters falling. So there is a fair bit of rain coming through for these regions, but it tapers right off once you come into New South Wales. A lot more of the drizzly light showers, similar story in many of the coastal parts here. But this is some good news. You can see the track here of Ex-Cyclone and maybe Cyclone again, Lincoln, curving around. And then you see what I mean? It's hard to know where it's exactly going to make landfall, but wet weather does look like it will come into some of those places, bringing you just a bit of relief. And that is all from me. Thank you again for all the comments. Please do let me know where you're from if you haven't already told me. The more remote and isolated, the better. I absolutely love hearing from places that I've never heard of before. But same goes if you live in one of the big cities. Tell me which suburb you're in. It's always good to check out a new place, and I go onto it on Flight Sim, and I'll try and bring more of those graphics in. We just didn't have time this week to do another one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.